My relationship with Pokemon is similar to that of a man with his penis. It doesn't take long before I start playing with it again, and anyone who frequents my channel will also know I like playing Pokemon ROM hacks. I've already showcased my most notable, but they are far from all the time I've actually spent. There are some hacks that I've played that, while credible, don't have enough in them to warrant a full review, so to justify the fact that I've wasted my time, I'm just going to talk about them. The first hack I want to talk about is called Pokemon Galaxy Elements. It starts with the main protagonist meeting with Professor Oak, however the two of them can't seem to find each other, even though they are standing only 9 steps away. God, if that's how bad his eyesight is, no wonder he has to ask if I'm a boy or a girl. After you experience an earthquake caused by a side plot with Team Galactic, you wake up the next morning, eat some leftovers you find in the trash, and admire your reflection in the shadows. I like what they did with the faces and the dialogue boxes, and the story does look like it could be interesting with Team Galactic and Reshiram Carnage, but here's where the problem lies. It's a tech demo. And even though it's just a small project, the glitches are ever present here. Firstly, you got the leader, Team Galactic, just hanging out above the trees. I didn't even realise people were still playing Pokemon Go. Then, assuming you want to play with the female trainer, this is the site that will greet you. Does this technically make this the most progressive Pokemon game because it's the only one to feature a ghost as its playable character? But from abnormal glitches to an abnormal entire game, Pokemon Dark Rising! The game starts in a dream world where you're confronted by Arceus, who asks your name and gender. Okay, I could understand Professor Oak doing that kind of stuff, but this guy is God. The fucker created me! Arceus wants me to go on an adventure as I'm a pure-hearted child, as well as another kid who turns out to be... Gary Oak? Gee, no wonder people lose so much faith in religion. As we go outside, we found the region has been brought to a state of uncontrollable weather. I wonder where in the world we actually are. Oh, that makes sense. Right, I'm not going to beat around the bush. The story here is a little bit weird. Like dating a boyfriend with commitment issues, at no point in the story did I ever feel like I would be engaged. The game keeps giving little bits of a grander story about cults and sacrifices for the Master Deruges, and I honestly have no idea what's going on. I want to go further into the game, but this ROM has sequels, and I do not have the time. Wait a second, is that a Digimon? The game does have some smart choices, like allowing for a much wider variety of Pokemon to catch in the early game and letting you choose between Dragon types as your starter Pokemon. However, one problem I do have is that there are way too many trainers. At least in the official games, battles are somewhat avoidable, but here I feel like I'm the only atheist at a Jehovah's Witness convention. Other than that, Dark Rising is actually one of the more polished hacks I've seen. That being said, there are some moments that don't quite add up. One especially weird moment was this guy inside a tree. Naturally, this was just something to expect from NPCs, so I tried to talk to him. And then that's when I got this. I swear, this dialogue goes on for minutes. I can't even skip past it quickly. I sped up the emulator, but that didn't help much. Eventually, and I do mean eventually, the item sound played, so I knew something happened. Looking in my bag, I found nothing, but looking in my PC is where I found this. Which is fitting, because I do not know what to say about it. It doesn't know any moves, but you can battle with it. That being said, battles are pointless because as soon as it levels up, the game crashes. And people say Magikarp is the most useless Pokemon. The next hack I'm going to talk about is Pokemon Light Platinum. Hang on, gotta get past the default screen. This is a working version of Pokemon Ruby. A big fuck you to all ROM kids. Try to remove this intro. Lamer? Well, if that's how you're gonna be. The next hack I wanted to talk about is called Pokemon Sweet Version. Starts off like your normal Pokemon Leaf Green game. Wake up, talk to your mum, get the running shoes early, very nice touch, then we step outside to see, oh god, I'm going to vomit! Fortunately, the game gets a bit better from here as we're introduced to our starter Pokemon, which are all food versions of Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle. In fact, the gimmick of this hack is that every Pokemon is a food version of an existing one, but it is better than I make it out. The entire type map for this game is completely redone. Bulbasaur is grass poison, you say? Oh no, he's chocolate cherry now. Pikachu, vanilla orange, and every Pokemon has a new type based on food, each one with its own new strengths and weaknesses that you have to learn, and that is something I simply love. Since you don't know what type is effective against what, this practically emulates what it's like to play Pokemon for the first time, and that alone is something amazing, although the fact that they're all based on food does raise some ethics about the use of rare candies. And there are so many little touches like that that change this from being a simple hack to pretty much being its own Pokemon game. Firstly, battling. Trainers are a lot more likely to double battle, so tactics are ever more prevalent here. Secondly, when you enter a gym, you can't leave until you win or die. Running away to the Pokemon Center isn't an option here, so health items are a lot more useful. And finally, HMs are improved. Crappy moves like Cut and Flash are no longer necessary to progress, so no more worrying about HM slaves. In fact, that simple change opens up a lot more of the game. Many routes that would be blocked off by HMs are instead blocked off by NPCs that disappear after specific plot points, meaning you can tackle the third gym before the second because there's no longer a tree to cut down. And that kind of mentality is throughout the entire game. Another example is that the Snorlax on the pier is actually one space below where it usually is. This means that you can bypass the entirety of Rock Tunnel and take a much quicker route to Lavender Town, which is a good idea. Because Rock Tunnel looks fucking atomic! Not to mention this game has a really nice sense of humour. Like for instance, Pokemon don't get poisoned in this game, they get hungry. And when they get hungry, they start to eat themselves until they die. Did I say humour? I meant horrifying. Really fucking horrifying! If you ask me, this is a Pokemon hack done perfect. It doesn't over-encumber you with battles, difficulty is balanced, it changes story events. Heck, I would even say this hack is on the same quality as the official games. While many touches can be seen in other hacks, the new type system alone validates it's worth the play. It's even really well polished. Throughout my entire playthrough, I didn't ever encounter a single bug. Although, to be fair, I'm pretty sure bug types were replaced with Raspberry, so that might explain it. If you're a fan of Pokemon hacks and you haven't played this, you're doing a great disservice to your name. I mean, just look how many hours I put into this. That's not how a clock works. But from probably my favourite hack to everyone else's, this is Pokemon Vietnamese Crystal, and yeah, I'm not gonna bother with this one. The entire game, for those who don't know, is simply Pokemon Crystal but poorly localised to Vietnamese, then back into English, and that's kind of all it is. As funny as it is to laugh at the poor text job, the same joke does get old eventually. I'm not saying you shouldn't play it, but if you wanted me to review it, I'll just be reviewing the official Pokemon Crystal. I'm gonna impose the same rule to all joke hacks as well. Pokemon Cock version, Derpizard, my ass. Sorry if you wanted reviews on any of them, but from a gameplay or story standpoint, there just isn't enough to riff over. Okay, I joked about it, but let's actually have a go at Pokemon Light Platinum. After messing around with the thing to get it working, the game starts with a weird vision of the main character watching Dialga, Palkia and Giratina attacking and maybe killing Arceus. Oh no, don't worry Light Platinum, I didn't want to understand your plot, just make up as much nonsense as you want. Upon waking up from the nightmare, your mother informs you that the professor of the game has discovered something involving Alpha, an ancient language that only the player character knows because your father taught it to you before he disappeared. Thanks, Mum. Just out of interest, do you want a toilet for that exposition dump? By the way, the entire intro scene is pretty much as unintelligible as the rest of the game. The story here is so ham-fisted it's actually a sin to play this game in Judaism. Our character is then picked up by Kauri, the champion of the game's Pokemon League, who offers to fly us directly to the professor. However, the offer of flying does become somewhat redundant after you find out that you can teleport yourself inside the Pokemon Center before Salamence can reach you. You then go over to read the inscriptions as it tells you how the universe was started, how it was created by Arceus, and how the balance of living things will be tipped out of favour, causing terror for humanity. Clearly this is an important artifact that should be extracted carefully from the ground and moved to some sort of museum. What do you think, Professor?
We should destroy this document before evil forces can claim its power.
Wait, what?
Kauri, bring out your Pokemon to destroy this artifact, then flood the excavation site.
No, backpedal a minute. Who are the evil forces and what power does this stone tablet have?
Make it quick. We don't know who might be listening in. Has anyone checked behind that lamppost?
I thought I was the only one who could read this tablet and all it said was a dumb prophecy. The job's been done, m'lady.
Good work, everybody. Shall we go?
Sounds like a plan. What? Okay, so Pokemon Light Platinum may not be the best written Pokemon hack, but it does look pretty nice. Lots of custom sprites and maps. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot more to say. One thing I will mention though is how easy it is to attain Pokemon. Because I already had experience with this game before recording, I decided that I would not throw a single Pokeball for my recording session and see what team I could get. Of course, I had the choice of Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle as my starters, then I could also go behind a professor's lab to get an Elekid. There's also a man outside the Safari Zone who gifts you a Growlithe. There was also a choice of Johto starters and a choice of Hoenn starters, meaning I also had a Totodile and a Mudkip. All before the first gym, and not to mention the plethora of held items and strong TMs that are flat out given to you. I'm fine with you gifting me stuff, but when you give me Pokemon stronger than pretty much anything I can catch naturally, it kinda diminishes the luster of building a team. And finally, the last hack I wanted to talk about is called Pokemon Morganite. You play as an emo kid who has a nightmare about the Pokemon world. By the way, Pokemon hacks opening up with a nonsense dream sequence? Yeah, that's just kind of a trope people adopted. The same could be said for Arceus actually. You'd think in a game where the creator can actually make anything, I find it a little bit weird that everyone copycats each other. The vision in Morganite says how the world is cruel and no one is to be trusted under any circumstances, to live by your own rules and that everyone else is evil. This was told to you by a voice in the character's head. So yeah, a good trustworthy source there. I'll be honest with you, this is another tech demo. This one even short and less try-hard than Galaxy Elements, but this will forever stick out in my head as the greatest moment I have ever experienced in gaming. You see, this was the first time I encountered a tech demo over ROM that wasn't told to me before I started playing. This led to me going around areas I had already visited looking for Route 2, which the NPCs were talking about. This is when I came to find one of the greatest features of the game. However, instead of telling you what it is, I'll show you an old Let's Play of my blind reaction. Ratata. What the? I'm not controlling the main guy anymore. I'm controlling the little kid. What the hell? I went into a wild battle with a Rattata. I ran, and now I'm stuck as this guy. Can I talk to him? I can't talk to him, but an arrow appears. What the hell? That is the weirdest glitch I've ever seen. And now he's changed. He's cloned. How the hell? Oh man, this is mad. There's another train over here. What will happen if I do a wild battle here? Will it affect him? I genuinely didn't know this was going to happen. What the hell? I mean, that's just kind of scary. Oh my gosh, I'm leaving clones. I'm just dropping clones and that guy has disappeared. No, he's there, he's just invisible. What the hell? Actually, maybe I should, like, reset the game. I should save and reset the game and see if the glitch is still happening. This has no longer become a playthrough of Pokemon. This is just experimenting with this freakiest glitch I've ever seen. How come my Pokedex is 1, but I own 2 Pokemon? Like, that's the thing I'm questioning at the moment. Where's the reset? There we go, reset. Okay. It won't let me skip the cinematic. Game. Oh no. My clone has broken Pokemon Morganite. Oh, that has to be said. This has been the most fun I've had recording in a long time. Well, since I can't go any further, I will see you in another episode, so until then, TTFN.